Greetings everyone. We will continue our discussion on Introduction to Information Retrieval Systems. So we are currently looking at Introduction to Information Retrieval Systems. In the previous session, we have looked at what is the Introduction to Information Retrieval Systems and also what is an Information Retrieval System. So in the current session, we will be looking at basically the domain analysis of information retrieval systems. Okay, so in the last session, I already told you what is an information retrieval system. So an information retrieval system matches user queries to documents stored in a database. As I already told you, the information retrieval system usually involves three parts. The first part is storing the data or collecting all the data into one place and storing that particular data in one database. And the second part is managing that particular database. And the third part is retrieving the database or accessing the documents in that particular database. So all these three parts will constitute your information retrieval system. One of the part is your user queries. So the user queries have to be matched with one of the documents in your database. The second thing is a document is nothing but a data object which will be present in your database. And information retrieval system must support all these basic operations, that is it should be able to enter documents in your database. You should be able to change those documents. If you want to delete those documents, you should be able to delete those documents. And if you want to search for those documents, the user should be able to query and they search for those documents, and it should be faster retrieval of those particular documents. So I shown you the information retrieval system in the last session. So basically there will be an information need. So the information need will be given from the user. So the user will provide an user query. This user query will contain what is the information that particular user needs, and this will be sent to the IRS system. So the IRS system will search or it will match the user query to the particular thing in the database. So whatever that is contained in the database, it will be matched. The matching list or the answer list will be retrieved as retrieved document list to the user. So basically this is the information retrieval system, basic operation of the information retrieval system. So all the thing will be present here. The information retrieval content will be basically contains in these two parts. This first part is about the storage, how you are going to store and how you are going to manage that storage. The second part is how you are going to retrieve that particular storage data. Okay, how you are going to retrieve the documents present in that particular storage. So this thing is what I have told, a brief review of the previous session about the information retrieval system. Okay, in the current session, we will be looking at the domain analysis of information retrieval systems. So as you know, this is information retrieval system will usually involve a large number of techniques. It will usually involve many of data structures, algorithms and many other things. So since it is a vast thing, so understanding all those things will involve some sense. So to understand, to find and use those data structures, algorithms and techniques. Okay, so how to understand what are the data structures present in your particular information retrieval systems, what are the algorithms present in your information retrieval systems, and what are the techniques which are used in the information retrieval systems. So these are a vast number of things which you need to know and remember. So in order to understand all these things or to find, that is what is the algorithm which will be suitable for your information retrieval system, if you want to design one on your own, so in order to find which will be suitable for you and use it, that is which algorithm will be suitable for your particular search. So in order to find, understand and use them, it is necessary to have a conceptual framework or a classification like thing so that you will remember them better. So basically domain analysis is nothing but knowing what are the algorithms, data structures and techniques present in your information retrieval system. Okay. The next thing is, what is this basically domain analysis? So domain analysis is the system analysis for your multiple related systems and method of developing your framework, as I told you in the previous slide. So you need to be able to develop a framework so that you will easily remember, understand and use those particular methods present in information retrieval system. Your domain analysis is one such method where you will be performing system analysis of all the related entities present in information retrieval systems. So basically what you are doing as a part of domain analysis is you are trying to analyze the particular domain of information retrieval systems. After analyzing all those things, you are going to do one conceptual framework or classification. So we are going to get a classification so that you will remember these particular things present in information retrieval systems. You will be able to remember what are the data structures, what are the algorithms, and what are the techniques present in information retrieval systems. So your particular domain analysis is nothing but system analysis of all the information retrieval systems for developing the particular classification. So domain analysis helps you to discover and record the similarities and difference among related systems. So it will be helping you to provide what are the similarities between two information retrieval systems, what are the dissimilarities between two information retrieval systems, so that you will better understand which system is better, which algorithm is better, which data structure is better for your use. Okay. So your domain analysis will provide all these things so that you will better able to remember what are the things present in information retrieval systems. Okay. So coming to the next thing. So the first thing in your domain analysis is to identify important concepts and vocabulary in the domain and define them and organize them as a faceted classification. So first thing you have to do in your domain analysis is first you have to identify what are the important concepts present in your information retrieval systems. So I will be introducing all those concepts in this particular session and we'll be going them one by one. Okay. So you have to identify what are the important concepts in the particular domain, that is, and what are the vocabulary, that is, what are the terms you are going to use, how you are going to particularly understand what are the terms you want to actually apply in information retrieval systems, and you will have to define them, that is, what is a particular term and what is the meaning of this particular term in the particular information retrieval context, and organize them in a faceted classification. You will be having various terms you have to understand in information retrieval system. Each term will be calling it as a face here. So each face will be having one particular thing. So we'll be looking at what are these facets and all in the next previous slide. For next slides. For the time being, you need to know that while performing domain analysis of information retrieval system or any other retrieval system, first you have to identify what are the important concepts and vocabulary you have in your information retrieval systems, and you have to define them and organize them as a classification. So by this time you can understand what is domain analysis here. Domain analysis is mainly about finding out which are the things present in your particular system or particular domain and trying to group it into one context and trying to better understand with the classification. You will be looking at the classification in the next few slides. Okay. The next thing you have to understand about domain analysis here is, so while performing the domain analysis of your information retrieval systems, we have classified into various facets here. Okay. So the few facets here. So what is the hardware we are going to use as a part of information retrieval systems? What is the file structure or database which we are going to use as a part of the system? What is the conceptual model? What are the document operations you are going to perform? What are the term operations you are going to perform? What are the query operations you are going to perform? So basically these are the facets, that is, these are the things you have to understand as a part of information retrieval system. Each and every information retrieval system will be having these basic phases. Okay, the first phase is what is the hardware which you are going to use. You'll be looking at each and everything one by one in the further slides. What is the file structure or the database you are going to use? What is the conceptual model, that is, what is the retrieval model you are going to use? What are the document operations? What are the operations supported by the particular information retrieval system on the documents? What are the term operations? What are the term operations you are going to perform as a part of information retrieval system? And what are the query operations? What queries you can provide? What are the different operations you can provide on the particular information retrieval system? We are having 6 phases here. We'll be seeing some of the phases in this particular session. We'll be going for the further phases in the next session. Okay. So the first thing, so what is a facet here? The facet represent the parts of information retrieval system that will be tend to be constant from systems to system. Okay, when you are analyzing the domain of your information retrieval system, you need to know what are the things which are common in between the systems. So these phases are basically those common things or constant thing from system to system. That is whatever are the phases I gave you, that is the hardware, the domain, the hardware, the file system, what is the conceptual model, the query operations, the term operations, all these things will be common to each and every information retrieval system. Facets are such parts which are common to all the information retrieval systems. The terms within the facet are not mutually exclusive, and more than one term from a facet can be used for a given system. What is the meaning of this particular sentence is, okay, the terms, what are the terms? That is, for example, you will be having various terms for each and every facet. That is, what is the type of hardware which you are going to use as a part of this information retrieval system. Different information retrieval systems will be using different hardwares. So one hardware can be present in one system, another hardware can be present in another system. Those are two terms here. Okay, these two hardwares could be present in one different system. That is, more than one hardware type could be present in a particular system. Okay, so terms within the facets are not mutually exclusive. That is, more than one type of thing can be present in one system. They are not mutually exclusive. Okay, and they can be used for a given system. That is, more than one type could be used or more than one term could be used for a given system. We will go for example regarding this thing. That is, we will be having term for each facet. That is, if you are taking facet as a hardware will be having different types of hardware. So more than one type of hardware could be present in one system. Those are not mutually exclusive. It doesn't mean one type of hardware should be only present in one particular information retrieval system. Some decisions constrains other. That is, if one chooses a one Boolean conceptual model, for example, then one must not choose pass method for queries. That is, there will be terms in these particular facets. Okay, those are constraints others. That is, so you cannot mix up two different terms here. Okay, so there will be they are mutually exclusive. That is, you can use more than one term in a particular system, but there are terms which cannot be mixed together. Okay, those things will be constrained with each other. That is, if you are using one type of hardware, you cannot use another conceptual framework. So in the same example, if you are using a Boolean conceptual model, you should not be using passing method for query operations. So those are two, not, you can call it as mutually exclusive terms here. Okay, so we'll be looking these things in the particular slide, next slide. Okay. So these are the facets you have as a part of this particular domain analysis. As I told you, the first row will be your conceptual framework facets. The first thing is your conceptual model. Okay, this is the domain analysis of your particular information retrieval systems. All these things are your facets. That is the conceptual model. Okay, the conceptual model, the file structure, the query operations, the term operations, document operations, and the hardware. Okay, so these are the various types of hardwares you can be having as a part of information retrieval systems. We'll be looking at each and everything one by one in the further slides. That is, what is the one human architecture, what is the parallel hardware you can use, what is the IR specific hardware, optical discs, magnetic discs. Okay, what are these things present as a hardware in a particular information retrieval system? That is, all these things can be present. That is, various information retrieval systems will be using these particular techniques. Okay, for implementing the hardware in your IR systems. Okay, the document operation, that is parsing, displaying, clustering, ranking, sorting, field marks, assigning ID, all these are document operations which can be performed on an information retrieval system. The term operations, that is stem, wait, thesaurus, stop list, truncation. These are the term operations which can be performed. Okay, this is particular facets and these are terms we are having. Okay, not about term operations, everything will be treated as one term. That is, these are query operation facet and these are terms. Okay, that is feedback is one term, parse, boolean, cluster. Okay, the file structure we will be having flat files, inverted files, signature files, path trees, okay, graphs and hashing. And coming to the conceptual model, we are having boolean model, extended boolean model, probabilistic model, string search, vector search. Okay, these are the various things we can use as a conceptual model. So what I need to say is each and every your information retrieval system will be having these different facets. That is, every information retrieval system will be having a hardware. So how you are going to implement the hardware could be from one of these things. Whether you want to implement the hardware by using one human architecture, or whether you want to implement your particular hardware by using parallel architecture. Okay, so if you are having file structure, so whether you want to implement your file structure by using flat files or path trees or graphs. So how you want to implement your particular information retrieval system. So each and every information retrieval system will be having these basic facets, and you could be using one of these facets for your particular thing. You can be using one of these terms for implementing the particular facet. And in the previous slide I told you they could be mutually exclusive. Okay, so as I already told you, they will not be mutually exclusive. Some terms will not be mutually exclusive. What means you could be implementing various particular term operation. That is, you could be implementing stem and wait in one particular information retrieval system. That is, your information retrieval system could support both stem and wait. Okay, there could be things which could not be contradictory, which will be contradictory. As I already told you in the example, a boolean thing should not be used with your parsing. So whenever you are implementing your boolean conceptual model, you should not be using parsing for your document operations like this. They will be contradictory terms. So, but basically before going into the depth of your information retrieval system, you need to know that these are the terms you have and these are the things you can implement as a part of information retrieval systems. Some things could be what you will call, they will not be mutually exclusive. That is, you can implement both the things in the information retrieval systems. Some things will be not mutually exclusive. That is, they should not be implemented at the same time. That is, whenever you are using boolean, you should not be using parsing method for your document operations. So these are the terms. We'll be looking at all these terms one by one now. That is, first we'll be looking at what is the hardware we are going to use. That is, as a part of information retrieval system will be coming from the back. That is hardware. Then we'll be looking at the file structure. Then we'll be looking at the query model, that is conceptual model. After that, we'll be looking at these three operations. So in this session, we'll be looking at hardware, file structure and the conceptual model. In the next session, we'll be looking at these three particular operations. So first one, facet, that is hardware. So the hardware will affect your design of your information retrieval system. So it mainly determines the operating speed, which is a crucial factor in interactive information retrieval system. The operating speed means how fast you are providing your documents to the user. Okay, that will be the operating speed. So whenever it is an interactive information system, that whenever I am interacting with the information retrieval system, how fast I am getting back my result. Okay, so it might be your chat box, okay, where you are particularly typing for your something and it is getting replied. Okay, so chatbots will be one types of these things. So where the operating speed will count. Okay, whenever you are using one type of hardware, will be getting one speed. Another type of hardware will be getting another type of speeds. Okay, so your hardware will affect the design of your information retrieval system, and it also affects what is the amount of data you could store in the particular information retrieval system and what types of data you could store in the information retrieval system. Okay, so basically this is the type of memory which you are going to use at the background. Okay, your database is different, and what is the type of memory which you are going to use as a part of the database, before the database. This will be the hardware part. So your hardware will affect your operating speed, how fast your information retrieval system is performing, and what is the amount of data and what is the type of data or what types of data we are going to store in information retrieval systems. The next thing, so hardware. So as I told you, the hardware facet will be having various terms. The first term is your one human machines. These are the oldest type of implementations where your general purpose computer will be having a single processor. Okay, so whatever computers which we are using at the current sense will be having usually one processor. All these single processor systems will be calling them as one human machines. So these one human machines will work with single processor, where a single processor system will be implementing your information retrieval system. So the computing speeds of these particular systems are one human machines have been improved enormously over the years, and yet there are some information retrieval applications which are too slow. Okay, so some information retrieval systems cannot be implemented on these one human machines. So many information retrieval systems are still implemented by using one human machines, but there are some interactive applications which cannot be implemented by using one human machines. So the first type, that is the first term you have as a part of your hardware, is your one human machines. So some information retrieval systems will be implemented by one human machines. The second type of your hardware is your parallel hardware, where you will be having a large number of processors connected in parallel in order to provide greater speeds. So in one human machines you are connecting only one processor per system. In parallel processing you are providing more than one processor or large number of processors so that you can perform your operations faster. Okay. Example, you will be having a connection machine with a massively parallel computer with 64,000 processors. So whenever you are having such large number of processors, you should be able to provide speed for your information retrieval system. So either you can use the previous thing where you were not concerned about the speed, you can implement by using your single processor. Wherever you are concerned about the speed, you could be using your parallel hardware. Okay, based upon your application, you can use one of these particular hardware types. The third hardware type you have is IR specific hardware. These are the machines specifically designed to handle IR operations. Okay, so these are specifically designed, that is the hardware implementation itself is specific to information retrieval systems, and IR specific hardware has been developed both for text searching and common operations like Boolean set combinations. Okay, so these are specific hardwares. We will not be looking much towards about them, but there are other types we have. So these are specifically to design your particular operations, and along with the need for greater speed comes with need for greater storage media capability of holding huge documents. Okay, so not only the speed, that is one human architecture and parallel processing and your whatever IR specific systems are mostly concerned about your speed of your particular operation. So you are not only concerned about the speed of the operation, you are also concerned about how much amount of data and what types of data you could be storing in your particular information retrieval system. So to implement those things, we have your optical storage technology. Either you could be using the hard disk or you could be using the magnetic technology to store your particular data in the database. So these are the things which will be part of your hardware. So this is an example of your catalog IR system. Okay, so this is a facet. So this, as I told you, will be having various facets, that is you are having term operations, file structure, conceptual model, hardware, document operations, query operations. All these are facets of your particular system, IR system. This list is an example of a catalog IRS system. This is an implemented version, that is catalog system is there. So this catalog system, I have given an example to look at what is the implementation done in a particular thing. So far we have used only the hardware part. So we have known only the hardware part. So as a part of this catalog system, we are using two hardwares here. That is, first we are using one human architecture. That is, this particular system will be having only one processor. Okay, and it is implementing the magnetic disk technology. So to implement the storage part, we are going to use the magnetic disk technology. To implement the speed of your particular system, we are going to use the one human architecture. Okay, so this is the hardware part I told you. So still you have to look at the remaining facets of your particular system. At the end of each facet, we will be looking at what are the things present for particular system. So in this particular session, I told you about what is the domain analysis of your particular information retrieval system. And as a part of domain analysis, what are the facets of each and every information retrieval system? We'll be having all these 6 facets, and each facet we will be discussing one by one. So in this particular session, we have discussed about the hardware part. In the further sessions, we'll be looking at the remaining parts. For the time being, we have looked at only the hardware part. So in the next session, we'll be looking at your conceptual model and file structures. So next, we'll be looking at term operations, document operations, and query operations. So we'll wrap up this session and we'll continue about all these things in the next session. Thank you.